Hello everybody, welcome back to Election Watch. I hope you had a fantastic Christmas. Well, you've seen it in the title, Reform eclipsed the Tories in terms of membership, and are the local elections going to be called off? Two stories that I think are linked, which you'll see in a minute. So I suppose this is going to be the first of my local election build-up videos that I've been promising that I'll do as we head into the new year. County Council elections on the 1st of May 2025. And you've got the map on your screen here, which shows you all of the authorities that are up for election in May. Feel free if you want to pause it. Now, this video, and look at the map. In this video, I'm not going to go into too much detail on the polling side of things. It's more a news story video that I just want to cover because I think is relevant to these local elections. And starting off is this story about Reform's membership. So they're now up at over 147,000, making them up to 148,000 members. They overtook the Conservative Party's membership on Boxing Day. Now, important to say, I think that the membership of the Conservative Party is an implied number. The Tories don't publish their membership figures. So this 131,000 number is taken from, as I say, it's implied from the ballots that were, I think, cast or sent out, one of the two, for the Conservative Party leadership election, which happened in November. So it may well be less than that number, it may well be greater than that number. Kemi Badenoch, who won that election, of course, and the leader of the Conservative Party, she has said that since she took over, there have been more people sign up to the Conservative Party. She posted no proof of that, but that's her claim. So it may well be more, may well be less. But either way, Reform having such a significant amount of membership is important, I think, for them, for British politics. We've seen them do very well in local elections across England in the last few months since the general election, these local by-elections. We know they've improved their vote share by about 15% at the expense of both Labour and the Tories. And if they're able to do that on a fairly ad hoc basis with no real party machine behind them, just how big of an impact can they have in May with a national campaign, focused campaign, with a membership behind them. Now, a friend of mine did say, and it has been mentioned as well, that having a membership is one thing, but getting them active and getting them out there to post leaflets or canvass or even stand in elections is another thing. So if you can't get them to do that, then this number is somewhat meaningless. But that's up to Reform to try and get them motivated into action. However, this story has become a lot larger because of the Conservative Party leader herself. In response to a little bit of taunting, at the moment that it ticked over and the Tories were overtaken, Reform projected onto the wall, onto the front of CCHQ, the Conservative Party headquarters, the counter overtaking them, and then they posted it on X. And Kemi Badenoch decided to respond with what you can see on the screen now. And look, I think this is very ill-advised. Feel free again to pause if you want to read through it all. She's essentially accused them of fraud. And that said that the counter was coded. It's not linked to the actual membership increasing at all. But most importantly, she didn't post any proof of her claim. Now, since that she posted this, in the meantime, it's been community noted now by X, saying the claim is false. It's not a fake ticker. I know, as you can read the rest of it there. It's also been verified by 4 news outlets in the UK, by Sky News, which it says there, also the Telegraph, the Spectator, and one other which I now can't remember who, but 4 independent news sources have verified that Reform's claims are legitimate. And before all that happened, Zaya Youssef responded to her with the claim that it is all true, and you can read again what he's written there. And importantly, he posted receipts, and this is what the journalists have corroborated. So look, a very ill-advised move by the Conservative Party leader, because not only has she just exacerbated the profile of Reform and their membership, by making it more of a headline than it otherwise would have been, she's now in a very difficult spot. I'm actually surprised that post is still up on X. She's now in a very difficult spot, because I would be very surprised if Reform let this lie. I expect they will force her into a public apology or threaten her with legal action, because she has essentially libelled them. She called them fraudsters without proof, and it clearly doesn't seem to be true. So yes, I think she's probably going to be forced into a public apology by Reform, which is going to be very damaging to her credibility and to her reputation. And with a thought ahead to the local elections, the Tories are the ones with the most to lose. Now, I've been saying for a while, the Tories will take a pasting at these local elections regardless of what happens. This is the map of the wards that are up for election in May, and the Conservatives hold 1,428 of them. Boris Johnson's Tories did formidably well in 2021 at these elections 4 years ago. And so they are going to get absolutely slapped this year. There's no two ways about that. And it really is an element, or an exercise, sorry, in damage limitation for them in a few months' time. And gaffes like that from Kemi Badenoch is not going to help them in the slightest. Because although Reform are going to obviously twist the knife and make as much out of it as they can, I think a lot of the Conservative membership is going to be pretty cheesed off about that, because it makes them look very amateur. And it is really quite an embarrassing and very avoidable own goal that she has scored there. But the second part of the news story is, well, are these local elections going to go ahead? Well, yes, there are certainly going to be local elections in May, but there are some councils that are looking to postpone their elections. Now, is that an all-out attack on democracy? No, I don't necessarily think it is, because the elections, if they are postponed, will take place in 2026. But it's also not a nothing story, which some people have been trying to make out that it is, that, you know, there's nothing to it. I think there is something to it, actually. Let's just run some hypotheticals quickly. So there's 5 councils that I know of that are looking to postpone their elections in May. One is Warwickshire, one is Essex, Thurrock, Hertfordshire and Devon. So those 5, there may well be more, but those are 5 that I know of from what I've read. And the idea is they're looking to take advantage of devolution schemes. They all have different stories, but essentially the main thing is they're changing from county councils and borough councils. They're going to abolish those and just become one combined authority or unitary authority. That's generally the thing. But let's just do some hypotheticals here. So let's say that the Labour Party came to power in the election, as they did, but after winning the election, they've done remarkably well. Their policies have gone down really well. They're very popular. They're riding a wave of popular support in the country, and their polling numbers have gone up to the 40%. In that case, would a Labour government be so keen to postpone elections so late? I saw an article saying that the 10th of January is when these councils can apply. That's the deadline for when they can apply to postpone their elections. And and the title of that headline was that it's an extraordinary date. Would the Labour government, in a case where they're up at 40% and on the cusp of humiliating the Tories more by taking wards off of them at council level, would they be so eager to postpone elections? On another hypothetical, let's say Labour come to power as they did, and everything goes as it has done, where they haven't been particularly popular, their policies haven't gone down very well, and their polling numbers slip, which is what's happened in reality. But in this hypothetical, the Conservative Party, under new leadership, is reinvigorated. They've come up with really good policy ideas, and people are really enthusiastic about getting the Tories back in, and their numbers go up to 40%. Would then Conservative-led councils like Essex and like Hertfordshire and like Warwickshire and like Devon, would they be so keen to be postponing their elections? Now, in both of those hypotheticals, one feels like the answer is probably no. Now, look, there are genuine reorganisation plans for some of them. I have to say that the story around Essex, if I've understood it right, stinks most of all. But just all of it stinks a little bit of the two main parties conspiring together, because neither of them are going to come out of these elections looking particularly great. The Tories, like I said, are going to get punished really heavily because they've got so many wars to defend anyway. Labour are going to be somewhat embarrassed because they're starting from a very low base and they're not probably going to improve their numbers very much, if at all. And the Lib Dems, the Greens and Reform in particular, those three will probably do quite well. And it just stinks of the two main parties, the establishment parties, what some people call the uniparty, conspiring together to protect themselves. And it just doesn't really sit quite right with a lot of people. And, you know, like when you look at the areas that are or the councils that are looking to postpone. We mentioned Essex. Well, we know Essex is a place of genuine strength for reform. Of course, they won 2 constituencies here in the election, Clacton and South Basildon. South Basildon they just won by a hair, but now they're 10% ahead there. They're now ahead in Basildon and Billericay. They're really close behind in Thurrock. They're close behind in Castle Point. Even in James Cleverly, the former Home Secretary's constituency of Braintree, they're only 7% behind. So, and they did very well recently in a ward that's in Malden, where they're currently 8% behind in the constituency parliamentary polling. They finished about 12% behind in that election, coming from 0 right the way up to about 35% of the vote in a county council by-election. So reform will do very well in Essex. So yeah, it just all stinks a little bit, but there will certainly be local elections happening. I shan't do an in-depth video about the polling and where parties stand until after the 10th of January, when we know which councils will actually be up for election, because there's no point me sitting here going in detail on things that won't happen, of course. So we'll wait. But look, there will be a number happening, and there will be, I think, a lot of there will be huge gains for reform, and they can motivate that 140 odd thousand membership into activism and contributing to the campaign effort with a unified campaign message coming from headquarters throughout these council areas. They could do remarkably well. Areas like Kent, we've seen them in Kent recently win. They won in Dartford, and they won a Kent County Council seat in Dartford as well. They also won in Swale recently. In Essex, if it goes ahead, they'll do well there. Norfolk, they'll do well. Lincolnshire, they'll probably do well there. Of course, Lincolnshire as well. Dame Andrea Leadsom is standing for reform in the new position for the Greater Lincolnshire mayoralty. So there's going to be huge gains, and not to mention, as you come across into the Red Wall area, they're going to do well there as well, and the Tories are probably going to be punished. Lib Dems will do well, I think, in the areas where they did well in the general election. Now, the Lib Dems haven't improved their polling since the general election, but they also haven't really reduced much either. I think it's down about 1 or 2% on average. So I think there's definitely gains for the Liberal Democrats to make in Devon, in Hampshire, Wiltshire, probably the Sussexes, Surrey as well. They really punished the Tories in those parts of the country, and there is hope, I think, for the Liberal Democrats to make inroads there. However, we have seen in recent weeks the Conservatives actually battling back against the Lib Dems in those parts. They won back, the Conservatives, that is, won back Horsham in West Sussex, they won back a ward on the council in Horsham, I should say, having lost the constituency in the general election. They won a couple in Somerset. Somerset's not up for election, but just down in that southwest area. They won a couple off of the Lib Dems in Somerset as well. So I'm not sure with the Lib Dems, because they haven't kicked on like Reform have. But there is certainly going to be a lot to talk about, and I plan on doing a lot of that here. So if you haven't yet, please do subscribe to the channel for that coverage. Hit the notification bell so you don't miss a video. Of course, plan on doing Nowcast coverage still when they all come out. I don't think there's a schedule for those coming out, by the way, so you just have to keep an eye out or hit the notification bell so you don't miss it, as I say. So yes, please do subscribe to the channel. We'll be doing all these local election coverage as we build up towards May. And just want to say, thank you very much as we head into the new year for all the support the channel has got. Up to almost 6,000 subscribers in just a few weeks. It's phenomenal. I didn't see this coming. As we move into the new year, I hope to try and make the videos a bit more professional, a bit better quality. And please do keep leaving your feedback for me as well. So enough waffle. Anyway, thank you very much for watching, and I will see you in the next one.